Welcome back, Juventinità, to the Juventinità, back to Black and White podcast. My name is Daniel Negro, and I'm live from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And today we're going to be going over the Juve Barca preview. And this is going to be the last game, obviously, of the group stage. Basically, the decider. It's going to be tough for Juve, but I think there's still a lot to be decided, depending on what happens tomorrow at 1 p.m. But again, we have our resident, we'll call him now, Barca fan back. And Rami, welcome to the show, obviously from Windsor, Ontario. Welcome back another Canadian onto the show. But
Very good to
it's
be
great
back.
to have you, man. It's great to have you.
Very good to be back. Obviously, like 2 months ago, we previewed the first Juve Barca match, so
Yeah.
nice to review the second one again.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you guys got the best of us that game pretty handily. But before we get into that, guys, as always, please smash the subscribe, drop a like right down there in the corner. If you're on iTunes, if you're on Spotify, if you're on Google Podcasts, please subscribe. It only helps you to get a hold of when the next podcasts are going to be coming out, and they'll go right into your feed. And if you could, please drop a rating, whatever you may choose, whether that be 1 through 5 stars. And please drop a comment. It always helps us stay relevant and stay up in the charts, as well as giving me the motivation to keep creating content, and as well as bringing new fans to the show, being guests or just listeners. So, as without further ado, we'll get into it. I don't want to get into too much news. All I want to say for this one, because there's been a lot of stuff going on with Juve. And I think that's going to be covered either in a Cafe alla Juventinità or another podcast with another Juve fan. We'll see if we can get him on tonight. But the one of the most important things, obviously, it's a clash of titans. We finally get to see this matchup. I know it's been a really long time because Ronaldo's been in Serie A, but it's going to be Messi versus Ronaldo finally. Unfortunately, with COVID, we weren't able to see it in the first game, but yeah, it's here. Combined 1,462 goals, 521 assists, 11 Ballon d'Or, 10 Golden Boots, 66 trophies. What more can you say? That's all kind of on the line. It's obviously going to be at the Camp Nou in Barcelona, but yeah, unfortunately there's not going to be any fans, but that's what it's going to be. So we look forward to one team qualifying obviously as top, and the other will be going through as second place. I think for Juve it's scoring 3 goals and beating Barcelona by at least 2 plus. So again, 3-1, 4-2, anything like that. Obviously 3-0 are your kind of score lines that need to happen. Anything else, a 3-2 or 2-1 won't do it. So again, let's see what happens. There's still lots to play, and there's all to play tomorrow. I mean, we could talk as much as we want, but yeah, it's been good to see, and it's going to be a good game. I'm really looking forward to it. Rami, what do you think? What do you think of everything so far with Barcelona? I know this weekend it's been pretty tough for you. Obviously, Cadiz, losing 2-1 on the weekend and being a pretty, I would say, pretty far out there in the title race. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was a tough loss. We had a lot of chances,
Yeah.
but they defended a lot better, and we made some mistakes.
So do you think you guys still have a chance there in the league, or do you think it's still a long ways away. I know we got a lot of games left, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, we got a lot of games left, but I don't think we're gonna win the league.
So it's mostly focused on Champions League. Yeah, I
Yes.
mean it's been tough. I mean it's even been tough for us. Milan's been doing pretty well, but I think we're still firmly in it. I think Barcelona's off by some 10 points or
It
something like
is.
that. So as you lose these games, I know there's a big derby next weekend between Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid, which will kind of could help you guys out depending on how that game goes or not. Potentially, I mean, if there is going to be some kind of revival. Um, but for Juve, I think everybody knows it wasn't convincing enough.
Yeah.
Um, we barely beat Torino 2-1, and what can we do? We can hope Quadrado makes the possible, I want to say, crosses in like he has been lately. But let's see what happens. We'll get into the match facts. Obviously, Juve Barcelona at Camp Nou on December 8th. That's going to be 9 p.m. CEST, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. Eastern. Juve's record, obviously, in the group 4-0-1 with 12 points in second spot. Barcelona's record is obviously a clean slate, 5-0-0 with 15 points in first place. And is it a battle for the top? Well, we'll have to wait and see tomorrow. I mean, if Juve can get a couple goals early, maybe we have a chance. But
Maybe, yeah.
we're looking at the lineups, which we'll get into. Uh, a lot of key changes, so kind of determining maybe we're not going to be pushing as hard as, and giving some guys some rotation. So maybe it's just a glorified match, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see tomorrow. Obviously, Juve's top scorer being Morata in Champions League with 6 goals. Messi, Braithwaite, and Dembele also on 3 each.
Right, yeah.
Just in Champions League. Form, like I said, Barcelona's had 5 wins in a row. Juve's had a win, a loss, and 3. Obviously, the last 2 wins. So again, it's pretty squeaky clean. The only loss, obviously, coming to Barcelona, the 2-0 loss in Turin, which was unfortunate on our part. I don't think we played um, not nearly not nearly as good as we had to. Even though I believe Barcelona had quite a few replacements. I know they had a young center back that came in that was um, played really well for you guys, and for us, there's a lot to prove because of one, our midfield not being as sharp it was in the in the Torino game in the Derby della Mole, but our attack still seeming to be a little bit of a shambles. Now we get Morata back. Obviously, he wasn't playing in the derby because of the red card that he got in the previous match. But we'll see how he slots back in. And those two, Ronaldo and Morata, have been really striking and have really been on form. Now let's see if that continues after a 1-game kind of layoff, where Ronaldo didn't score for the first time. Excuse me. He didn't score for the first time under Pirlo. Now let's look at kind of the injured players. Obviously, like I said, Chiellini and Demiral. For Barcelona, Dembele, Piqué, Ansu Fati, and Sergio Roberto will not be in the roster there. So we'll see. We'll get your take, obviously, Rami, on what you think the lineup is going to be. But because obviously there's going to be some key players out. But I've added the last lineup they had in against Cadiz. I'm not sure if you think that'll be similar. But from what we've seen so far, that was a 4-2-3-1. Alba Mingueza Dest as your right back with Ter Stegen in goal. De Jong, Busquets with Coutinho, Griezmann, Messi, and Braithwaite up top. So, like I said, we have all of the players that I've mentioned. I don't believe are in that aren't in that lineup. So Do you strongly believe that's going to be the formation you guys go with? And do you see any other players coming in or out of the lineup?
Pjanic for um Busquets.
Yeah.
It would be
Okay.
I think Griezmann is going to replace Coutinho and have Braithwaite up top.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you think Coutinho's going to be playing there on the left and Griezmann kind of in the middle as your kind of your number 10 role? Is that what you think? Or do you think someone else will come in for one of the two?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so pretty much a similar, very similar lineup, maybe adding Pjanic in there. For us, it's looking like a 4-4-2. Very similar to what we've been playing. Obviously, Buffon apparently will be coming in goal, which is again an interesting take. Sky Sports again, not the haven't been hitting these completely right, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. Alexandro Bonucci, Danilo, and Quadrado, meaning that Delict is probably going to get a rest on the bench. But again, we'll wait for the official lineup to come out right before the game. Chiesa, Rabiot, Artur, Ramsey in the middle, and Ronaldo and Morata up top, which is no surprise. Yeah, let's see. I mean, in a Juve perspective, I think Ramsey is kind of on his, not last legs, but he's got a lot to prove in this game. If he's going to move into obviously when we have possession, it'll become a 3 at the back with Danilo, Bonucci, and Alexandro, and then having Quadrado move up with the 4, and Ramsey being your trequartista or your number 10 role. So we'll see how that plays out. Quadrado again, very handy. 7 assists so far this season. I think he's created the most chances out of everyone on the team. But he's also riddled with mistakes, which we saw in the first game against Barcelona, where we were basically countered to death, and our defense was just so loose, and we really got nothing to show for it in that game. So I'm hoping it's a little tighter now that we have Alexandro back in the lineup. That's going to be a big help. But let's see. I mean, you still have that kind of loose piece on the right hand side. So if he's going to make those mistakes and he's not hitting those crosses like he did in the last game that essentially set up the 2 goals, well, then you're going to be asking some questions. So, you have any thoughts, Rami, on either Juve or Barcelona's lineup and kind of how you see things starting out tomorrow?
I see the Barcelona lineup is okay for the match,
Yeah.
and also the Juventus lineup seems really really strong as well.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, we've had some, there's been some talks on who really should be starting. I know Artur wasn't in the lineup against Torino. He wasn't even subbed on. But we had a lot of questions with Bentancur, who's obviously going to be on the bench now. I just think he didn't have a good game. Just wasn't working for him, and they were clogging up the midfield, and his passes weren't very sharp. But we'll see with Delicto. We'll see that back line. It's definitely going to get tested. If you're going to have Coutinho, Griezmann, and Messi, it's going to be a tough task, especially, like I said, with a defensive unit that's been loose, that's been, not very strong all season. It doesn't matter what the record is, doesn't matter how many wins we've had. Just defensively, we haven't looked good. So that's something we got to look forward to. But what are your keys to the match? Obviously, as a Barcelona fan, what are you looking forward to seeing that are going to be keys to winning the match tomorrow?
Strong defense, and we need to take our chances against Juventus. The first match, it should have been like 5-0.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So, yeah, I mean, again, I hope I don't witness the same scenario. Obviously, for Juve, I think it's, deciding when to play through the middle and when to play, obviously, along the flanks. We got to be unpredictable. We got to be, keep keep Barcelona, on their toes. And I think if we press enough, we can definitely cause some problems. I think if it depends on what UV is going to come out. And sometimes we come out lackluster, and that really sets the tone for the game. So I think if we come out with energy, I think there is going to be a good possibility that we can put some goals in. But again, let's see what happens. I think there's a lot. There's again, just even in the formation alone will determine what happens. But I think it's good to have Morata back, being that the link up is pretty strong between him and Ronaldo. Again, they're both scoring goals, so I think that's a positive. But we got to figure out this midfield. It's got to be a lot stronger, more direct. Artur is going to have to really, take on uh, Barcelona's mid and kind of dictate the play when he has the ball, make sure to distribute it at the right times, make sure he's accurate. And I think as long as we can play north south, I think it's going to be, good odds of Juve coming out with a victory. Now, Ramsey, he's got to be sharp as well as Quadrado, even Chiesa. They got to know when they're going to make their runs because again, we could be split wide open at any time of when we lose the ball. So that's key. And again, making good runs and being clinical. I think that's one thing Juve lacks. Obviously, barring Morata and Ronaldo, who scored the majority of our goals, but I think even they can improve in that. There's lots of times where we could score 3-4 goals and we just don't because we're not taking advantage of our chances. And I think that's something that needs to be corrected. So let's hope we can get clinical. Let's hope we can put some goals in the back of the net. And again, come out with energy. It's really the same recipe. You know, just to have success, there's not too many recipes that need to be changed. Hard work is and coming out strong and pressing and playing your game. That's all you can ask for. So hopefully we can get that from Juve. Um, I think I think that's kind of says all that well, that's all that I need to really say on the Juve side because it seems like we've been speaking telling the same story over and over again throughout this whole season where we'll go and like you guys the fans know we go from having a really good game to playing I would say very mediocre. um do you notice kind of that Barca's kind of been in the same trend, or do you
Yes,
think what are your thoughts? Are they just not caring about the league, or is it too much turnover, injuries? What do you think, Rami?
there are a lot of injuries that are affecting the club currently, but it's just a good performance, a bad performance, a good performance, a bad performance with us.
Yeah, I know how you feel, which is weird because it seemed like going into the last game, it was kind of the same situation. We weren't both really, it's not that we felt really confident in how the teams were playing. Um, but obviously Barcelona got the upper hand, right? And that's really all that it takes in that one game is for one team to show up and play the way they're supposed to. Um, but yeah, I know. I mean, it's very wishy-washy, very unfortunate, I would say, because again, you've said to yourself, being that far back in a title race, even though there is a lot of games left, but that's a big gap. I think tomorrow is not going to necessarily sway anything for either team, though. I think it would be good on the resume, if you get a big win like that. Like I've been saying multiple times on various podcasts that I've had, um, Juve needs to start stringing wins together. But not only that, we really haven't had a big statement performance. We haven't been able. We obviously won against Napoli because we were awarded the 3-0, but so we didn't get that game. We didn't look good against Lazio. We haven't looked good against Roma. So really, any of the like kind of the major, bigger clubs, if you want to call them that, we haven't looked good, and we haven't really had a statement win. We've had good wins against smaller sides like Kiev or Cagliari or uh, at the beginning of the season Sampdoria, but for us, we haven't really had any statement win. So I think in the grand scheme of things, it might not be a big possibility. Like I said, we have to score 3 goals and then we have to win by a margin of 2 minimum. So that maybe isn't a possibility, but or it could be, but like I said, the odds are not in that favor going forward. But for both teams, if you can win this game and kind of motivate yourself and see what you can do and put in a good performance, you're really with maybe an Atletico loss next week, a win, that's a 6-point sweep for you guys, and for us, a win, and obviously followed by hopefully another win against Genoa. You continue to stay in that race. You see you can beat a pretty good team, and again, motivation is key in any season. Um, you know, getting into these thought, okay, we're doing something good, we're doing something bad, we're doing something good. You really get no rhythm, and I think that's definitely needed for Juve. But yeah, no, let's see what happens tomorrow. If you had to give a prediction, what do you think the prediction's going to be for tomorrow, Rami?
2-1 Barcelona.
2-1 Barcelona. Okay, so I do the same thing, but I'm going to go 2-1 Juve. Who do you have scoring for Barcelona?
Messi and Braithwaite.
That's
And
yeah. So what did you
and
think?
for you
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
and for Juve, Ronaldo.
Okay, so one apiece. Um, see, so I gotta try and get some favor for the Ronaldo fans, but I actually do think he is gonna score. I think it's gonna be 2-1 for Juve, like I said, and I think he's gonna get both goals, and I think Messi will get one goal, and I think it'll be a very good game. Hopefully, my prediction
Yeah,
been here and there, but yeah, it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice to see them both on the field again. Like I said, it hasn't been since what 3 years ago in La Liga, I think. So really,
2018.
yeah. So it's been a really long time. Um, I had to ask a question because I don't think I've ever asked the Bars. What did you think of the whole Brathwaite situation when you had to bring him in the transfer window?
I mean, Suarez was out for 5 months,
Yeah.
so we had to bring someone in. So
Like, do you think it
we
was
get him.
warranted that Barcelona was able to bring in another player? Because I know it was pretty heavily discussed. It was an emergency side because it happened after the window had closed, right? So,
Mhm.
um, again, and I don't think that's ever happened before in the really. I don't remember ever hearing anyone else do it. So, you think they kind of got some preferential treatment there, or do you think it was warranted?
I think it's a rule that if you have an injury for 4+ months, you get a player.
Oh, okay, you can. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know, but no, it's a good thing you cleared that up with me because I always wonder what was going on. It was just weird. It was like at the end of, and obviously, like you said, I know Suarez was out, and yeah, it was like emergency signing. So what went back to? I believe it was Real Sociedad, right? That he came from. It was another. I know it was another Spanish club, but
Um,
like, did you have to give him a player in return? Is like that's how it works, or it was just cash
no,
for?
cash.
Oh, okay, there you go then.
Wait, who did he play for?
I think it was Sociedad. I think.
Leganes.
Oh, Leganés. Okay, yeah. See, both blue and white, so that's what's throwing me off. But yeah, that's interesting. Interesting times. Um, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about for this game tomorrow? Any thoughts? Um, do you think Messi's going to go next year? Do you think Barcelona's going to go bankrupt? I know there's a lot of talk about the financial side and stuff like that. But so give us some of your thoughts on that.
So if a team goes bankrupt, that means they're done.
Well,
If we,
again, they could go into creditor protection and stuff like. I'm not sure how it works necessarily in Spain, but I'm sure they'd go into some, you know, that's assuming that this will be going through and they won't be selling anyone or they won't be able to come up with enough revenue to get there. So again, that's a I think it's pretty far fetched. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's gonna happen. I don't know if it's gonna be that simple. I think they can always come up with a cash injection, like all these
Yeah,
other teams
obviously.
do. Like PSG and Man City and stuff like that. So
Like
I'm not sure.
something that can save us is like get like a really really rich owner, and we just
Well, yeah, that's another thing too, right?
yeah
Who knows? I mean, they could be a sale. I haven't really heard anything. I don't think it's really been talked about yet in terms of that. I think there's been rumors of this, as these newspapers do, just to sell stories and stuff like that. So again, I didn't know how accurate that was. But yeah, man, anything else you wanna throw out there, boss?
the match is not really gonna matter. The most thing I'm excited for is gonna be Messi versus Ronaldo.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it's funny. Again, like I said, it was unfortunate that we couldn't see them in the first game. So really, this is going to be the only, well, barring us meeting up against next year or in the knockout round, which would be pretty. The odds of that happening again would be pretty crazy because obviously you can't meet in the next round, so you'd have to
Yeah, you
meet.
can.
You'd have to meet in the following, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, it would be pretty incredible if that happened again. But so as of right now, this is going to be the only matchup we'll see of them, on the field, and that's if there isn't any changes. I know there's been some rumors that maybe Messi won't like they'll rest him or not, but yeah,
Probably not.
yeah, I think it's pretty motivating. I think the last game, you get to
They
play against your rival, right?
mhm. They rested him against well the last two Champions League games. So
Yeah,
so so they rested him then. I think it was for now to play
yeah,
him.
yeah. To play, kind of again a good motivation, and so yeah, again, so we made our predictions. Um, what do you think about the season? Do you see a turnaround? Like, I know before you said no, but again, you guys got to get in Champions League, right? So I
This
mean,
season,
barring winning the trophy, because if you obviously you win, you're in automatically next year. But if that were not to happen, um, you got to start making a run on some of those points. I mean, Real Sociedad's pretty entrenched there at the top. I know Real Madrid is back up there.
Atletico
Um,
Madrid are gonna win.
so you think Real Madrid will win or Atletico? You said.
Atletico.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm a big fan of theirs ever since the what was it, the Super Cup when they played against Chelsea. So I've kind of followed them around from then on, and I really like their style. I like kind of the way they play. Reminds me of Juve in a sense, um, and it's kind of almost like they're the stepchild, the unwanted stepchild, compared to the two other big clubs. Sometimes I feel Juve is kind of that way in terms of the Milan clubs. So yeah, it's kind of it almost reminded me like that, and yeah, I think they're well on their way. They've won a bunch of games in a row, at least five in a row, from what I've seen on the Score app. But yeah, let's see what happens. I know there's a long way to go, but they do have a game in hand. But yeah, I would like to see them win again. That'd be really nice. That would be really nice to see. And again, so you think Messi's gonna stay though? I didn't hear your answer on that.
It's a tough situation, but I think he will.
There you go. I think now that
Also,
the oh, go ahead.
you talked about Milan a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you think they're gonna win the league?
I think again, I think it's still early. Looking at our race compared to La Liga, I think La Liga is still a tight race. But Atletico does have a game in hand on the two teams that are below them. So again, they're already 1 point up on, I believe it's Sociedad, which could be 4. I mean, again, that's not a massive point gap as of yet, but again, they're making ground on these teams, and they're winning. Again, there's a big game against Real Madrid. For us, we haven't played any of these teams yet, so again, we're 6 points back of Milan, but we have 2 games to play against them. So there's your 6 points. As these teams have always done in the past, they haven't stayed really consistent, and I think until they get to a point where we can say in the second half of the season they're still on top, then I'll start believing more and more that they have a chance. Because again, anything can happen at the end of the season. We still have to play them twice, and if we beat them twice, we're essentially tied for first place. Barring the teams. I think there's a couple teams with a couple points ahead of us, but yeah, a lot of these teams are going to fade away at some point. Which usually happens. They'll string a couple bad performances. Napoli's, they're well known for their collapses and stringing bad either losses or back-to-back draws. Which again, that's 4 big points you lose, and for us, we've been there, we've done that, so we know what it takes to come back. We know what it takes to lead. We know what it takes to be second place. I mean, in our first our first title, we were in second place for the majority of the season. I think it was only till the third last week or the fourth last week, somewhere maybe second last week, where we took the lead. So that's that. We've also come back from, I would say, 12 points down, and just win pretty much every game we could, take every point we could, and win the title that way. We've also had it where it's been really close. So again, we know how to win. You got to beat the champ. You also got to outlast the champ. And I think, again, there's always going to be doubts on these teams because they've never done it. We're 9 on the trot, and I really hope we can hit the 10. But again, it's not going to be easy. I think this year is probably our most difficult challenge because we have a lot of groups that are a lot of teams that are still in it. But let's see what happens. There's a long way to go. I think a little longer in our league than, well, at least other teams hope. So I would hope that they all started losing games and we just took the lead and that was it. But as of right now, Milan seems to be holding serve. This weekend they pulled out a win. We obviously won. Let's see what happens. Long way to go. Long way to go. But
You
yeah, my
talked
friend.
about
Oh, sorry.
you talked about how some teams fall off.
Yeah.
That's what happened in the English league. You got Aston Villa and Everton, and then they just fell off.
Yeah, I know. I remember we were talking about that a little bit, and even in some of the other podcasts I had, with my buddies. Again, it's not easy. It looks so easy to be on top of the table, but to actually stay there and push and continue to push, like Leicester did. You don't see that happen too often on a team that doesn't have the same, because you don't have the depth, you don't have the squad. Again, the funds are not there, so it's not like you can go out and make maybe 3-4 signings in January. So you got to essentially stay healthy. It's a big ask. It's a really big ask for smaller teams to stay in that position. And like you pointed out duly, Aston Villa were up top and Everton were up top, and now they're not. So again, not even halfway through a season. So it's tough. It's really tough to win a league. I know a lot of people like to, take the mick out of every, winning league titles and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's not easy. It is not easy. You got to go out there. You got to win all your games. You got to make sure you're taking out majority of the points, because if not, and I mean, I'm sure you know, because when you've had these close battles between, Real and Barca winning the title, it only takes one mistake and that's it, right? Your title's done, because the other team's good enough that they'll go and win the rest of their games, and you need them to lose 5, 6, 7 points. Well, that's just not going to happen, right? So again, it's tough to win the league. I don't think enough people appreciate winning, the leagues, especially when you're hearing teams win it 5, 6, 7 times. But again, you got to look at some of the advantages these teams had in terms of obviously revenue, but you also have to look at the consistency of the team they've built. Whole bunch of factors, right, that go into it, and again, it's tough winning year after year after year, because that people are gunning for you every year, right? Like, there's a new team that somehow gets money or gets another star player. Like I said, you look at Real Sociedad, they have that young star there. I think it's Yarzabal, I think is,
Yes.
yeah. So, I mean, you get some guys like that, you mix in some pieces, you add in a David Silva from Man City on a free, it comes together, right? So, and again, this is happening every year. We have Sassuolo this year who's doing phenomenal. You have, in previous seasons, Atalanta. Atalanta's kind of a little bit dropped back now. We've had Roma, we've had Napoli. So you have, and even in the first season, we were fighting Milan before they kind of collapsed there. But yeah, it's not easy, and I really hope we can get 10. That would be such a historic feat. And then after that, I don't care if we just go for Champions League. But yeah, no, number 10 has really been, I think, on everybody's mind. And if we can get there, that would be phenomenal. I don't know about Champions League. I'm still unsure. I see a squad that defensively is not good enough. I see a squad that puts in too many half-assed performances in terms of, one, okay, we're going to play, like I said, the wishy-washy, play one good game, play one bad game, make mistakes, fix mistakes, make mistakes again, fix mistakes. I've seen it in the past 2 seasons, the reason why we lost Ajax, the reason why we lost to Lyon last year. So I don't know. What are your kind of thoughts on Barca in the Champions League? And then we'll wrap up, bud.
I mean, I'm not really expecting much from
Anything this year.
Champions League. This year is going to be like a almost like a rebuild year.
Yeah. Get rid of some pieces, save some money. Hopefully nothing happens to the club, and
Yeah.
rebuild kind of thing. Yeah. No, I mean, it's unfortunate, but sometimes when you overspend, right? That's why the transfer market's so key in a sense, especially now with COVID's really hurt everybody. No stadium revenues, no ticket sales, no jersey sales. I would say probably are down, because not a lot of people don't have as much money to spend as they would in years where everybody's working, right? So we'll see what happens in the future. But let's hope for a great game tomorrow. Obviously, I think obviously I'll be watching it after work, as per usual, so I'll know the score. But then again, we have some great guests coming on. And yeah, I hope to see a great game once I come home. Hope to hear about a great game on Twitter. And yeah, that's all from us, guys. I hope you enjoyed hearing a different perspective. Um, we hope to have you on at some point. I know Davide wanted to do kind of a multicast kind of video of all three of us, me, you, Maldini, and Davide as well. So we'll see. Maybe we'll still make that happen. I still got to get FIFA, so I got to get on that. And yeah, who knows when we'll play each other again, but I'll definitely have you back in the future whenever that may be. And yeah, thank you for coming on, Rami.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
So yeah, no worries. It's been a pleasure. And guys, thank you for sticking through. If you have, please drop a comment. As always, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, Google Podcasts. and drop some comments, drop some questions. We'll be right back at it with either a cafe alla Juventinità or a podcast. And I hope you've been enjoying all this content. And yeah, it's all for you guys. So enjoy, share it, like it. And we continue on with some more ideas, some more fun. And like I said, hopefully a great game tomorrow. So, guys, it's been a pleasure. I hope you enjoy this. And as always, fino alla fine, Forza Juventus. Ciao, guys.